Joining me on the program, somebody who is a specialist in this period of history from Laidlaw College, Dr. Samuel Carpenter. Kia ora, good morning.
Morning, Andrew.
Marianne and Henry Williams, a remarkable couple. Give us a brief introduction to who they were and the sorts of people that came to New Zealand all those years ago.
Yeah, so, they were really a product in a sense of the evangelical movement that was concerned to spread God's word to those who didn't have it, to spread belief and faith, and bring a message of peace. They were young when they arrived in New Zealand. Henry was 31, Marianne was 28, I think, when they dotted down on our shores, and they had come out of an England that was also going through a revolutionary period, but they stepped into a revolutionary period in Aotearoa where Māori had muskets. That was leading to sort of long range, in some cases, war parties going to avenge prior acts that needed to be avenged according to Māori law. Hongi Hika was one of the main players. So they came into this very dynamic context with the gospel of peace.
I mean, this is a bit of a powder keg situation here in New Zealand, again, quite literally, with the introduction of muskets. Henry Williams, though, yes, he was a man of the gospel. He was bringing this message of peace, but he had a background as a bit of a warrior himself.
That's right. I mean, he understood warfare. He spent a good decade or so in the Royal Navy, fighting in the Napoleonic Wars. Was involved in close action, was injured and so on. So he knew war. He wasn't naive about human nature. But the thing is, he was prepared to get his hands dirty. And if not go outside his comfort zone, because he was certainly experienced in warfare, he was prepared to go where the musket balls were flying, let's say, in order to try and act as a go-between in these Māori conflicts. I mean, so quite remarkable stories, really, when you read them.
Now, I mean, there are tremendous stories, and look, it's one of your jobs, one of your side projects at the moment is to gather a lot of the source material. I understand you're writing a book on the couple and the impact that they have, and learning some of these powerful stories. Now, we don't have time to jump into all of those, but a shout out for the book. Do we have a publication date for that yet, or is that work in progress, Sam?
No publication date, work in progress, but hopefully announcements forthcoming.
Okay, well, we wait and see for that one. But what are perhaps a couple, two or three things that we can learn from Henry in particular, but also Marianne, about who they were as peacemakers? What are some of the things that we can learn from their example that would be relevant in this current context?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had three lessons here, Andrew. Follow God's calling even if it involves risk, I suppose, is one. I mean, they knew the musket wars had kicked off before they left England. So they knew they were going into a very dynamic environment. Number two, be prepared to accept hospitality and invitations to act on behalf of others in these situations of conflict. We've got to remember that most mission stations were established at the invitation of the local people, of the chiefs and so on. So they already had that invitation. And then through a process of relationship building over a number of years, Henry is invited, in fact, with his colleagues, mission colleagues, to act as mediators in some quite serious intertribal situations. And he says, we're able to act in a way that they wouldn't be able to, even though there are customary roles of peacemaker in Māori society. The fact that you had outside people acting as these kind of neutral parties actually assisted the situation. So, I mean, and then I guess the third thing is be prepared to go to those dark places, as the rugby commentators say about the ruck. Go to those dark places. Be prepared to get your hands dirty. Get out of your comfort zone. I mean, he did things that actually are quite sort of stunning when you read about them. He carried in one case when he went on a long range campaign down to Tauranga region with a Ngāpu war party. He actually carried the food supplies of the leading rangatira. So he refused to carry their armaments, their muskets and so on, but he said, okay, well, I want to be there. I want to sort of be there acting as a mediator. So in order to get close to the action, I'll carry your supplies.
Wow.
Which is, I don't know, it strikes me as quite remarkable. He also did a heap of stuff. Like at one stage he tows a canoe of a tapu chief,
Okay.
and that no one else can touch because he's sort of set apart. He offers to tow this chief and so on. So he really got his hands dirty in order to bring this gospel of peace.
So Henry Williams wasn't just acting as an intermediary at times of treaty and negotiation. He was going off on war parties with some of the chiefs to try and make peace, even in the middle of warfare. He was putting his own safety on the line, as it were. Yeah,
I mean, he did put his safety on the line. I mean, he mediates in conflicts in the Bay of Islands where there's eyewitnesses accounts of him walking onto the beach with musket balls flying around and trying to flag down the opposing sides.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. I mean, you might say that was kind of crazy stuff, you know. And his wife certainly thought, and others actually thought, you know, why are you doing this? But he actually said, well, this is my duty.
Yeah.
He had a very strong sense that this is what he was meant to be doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, and without that strong sense of calling, you know, he wouldn't have put himself in those situations.
It was very much a joint calling, though, because, you know, I don't want to say that, you know, Henry was the one taking all of the risk and Marianne was sitting in the background, because she was also very much a peacemaker, particularly in the local community at Paihia where they were based. That was also her calling to be a peacemaker.
Yes, well, she was certainly there and involved with the mission when they had, you know, sort of a phrase or altercations with locals over various things. Most of those were mediated. I mean, she also is crossing cultural boundaries, right? And she is obviously learning the language as well, Te Reo Māori, educating a young woman and an adult woman sometimes in literacy and so on, and biblical knowledge. So she's crossing boundaries. I mean, she basically turns up to an amazing welcome by Māori at Paihia.
Yeah.
When she's quite heavily pregnant, she delivers her fourth child, basically on the beach almost at Paihia. So there's a lot of risk that she takes in the mix as well.
But also coming alongside Māori woman going through labour. She's literally down in the creek, hands and knees, helping them deliver their children as well. Women working together. Yeah, I mean, a lot of her life is with women and girls, right? It's sort of in some ways quite a segregated. That's partly the sort of the English sort of mission way they operated. But there are accounts I've been told, customary stories that she actually helped Māori women deliver their babies in the local creek, for example. With the work that they were doing there, now some people would see this as saying, oh, well, this is separate from the mission work, separate from the evangelism work that Henry in particular and Marianne as well were involved with doing. But in some ways, if it weren't for the peacemaking, if it weren't for the trust building, the relationship making, the working with and serving these communities in this time of conflict, it wouldn't have set the scene for the remarkable response to the gospel that followed.
Yes, I mean, them putting themselves out there did actually make concrete this idea of a gospel of peace, because it was, you know, make peace with your neighbour and make peace with God. You know, through Christ. So this is almost the central message of the mission, and those relationships, you know, over time, and the message combined with literacy and the printed scriptures and so on, that all added up to Māori adopting Christianity in large numbers, you know, by the late 1830s, early 1840s, through the 1840s, 1850s. But yes, it was very much built on relationships, being in those relationships for the long term, you know, not going away when it got difficult, that sort of thing, you know.
They'd seen him walk the talk, as it were, and put himself as a peacemaker between warring parties, and it certainly demonstrated what being a man of peace would look like. Well, Sam, we very much look forward to the book and all of the details and source references that will come with that. Thank you for taking the time to unpack this aspect of their story, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, kia ora, Andrew. I've enjoyed it.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.